On this video, my thoughts on Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now, just to be clear, this is not gonna be a full review from me. It's gonna be mostly based on my opinions and purely by memory from what I've seen from the movie so far. So yeah, it's basically gonna be a mixture of like opinions and thoughts. So I'm gonna try my very best to remember as much as I can, and also not to be influenced by the other comments or other reviews that is swarming the internet by now. Forums, Facebook, YouTube, just about everywhere. So in terms of spoilers, I'm gonna give my absolute best to not give away major info, major plot points and stuff like that. So as I go along in the video, laying down my opinions. So let's get to it, man. So first I'm gonna touch upon Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Initially I was kinda like skeptical when I first heard he was being cast as Batman. I was definitely having my doubts and stuff like that. So, and the very reason for that, I would say for a couple of people on internet as well, because at one point of time he was playing as Daredevil, and that was like a couple of years ago. And that Daredevil movie wasn't really a good one. Looking back at it, I would say during that time, not a lot of people or studios really knew how to handle a superhero movie. So when Zack Snyder released some production pictures of Batman vs Superman, it kind of changed my opinion kind of quick actually. So the version we got from the stills was a Batman who was ready to beat the shit out of the bad guys. He was like really super buff, you know. You can see that like wow, you know, Ben Affleck is working out and he's like super huge, and boy did he kick some serious ass in this movie, and it was great. It was fun to see how he moves around. I gotta give it to Ben Affleck because he really kind of like I definitely like would say that he owned the Batman role in BVS. There's nothing wrong with the version that was played by Christian Bale during the Dark Knight trilogy. That version definitely had good moments and stuff like that. But the one in BVS, personally, I have never seen a Batman or any version of Batman that moved so agile in such a way, which is very pleasant to see, especially for a real life action movie or action sequence. And so agile that it was kind of like an art form to see him kick ass and move around. Like there was no restriction in his costume and whatsoever, which is really nice to see. And I think this is the first time I actually saw something like that. So I mean, we see a lot of that in animated movies and it's done pretty well, but to see a live action one, I think that will be the first for Batman at least. In this movie, Batman is doing that distorted microphone kind of voice thing. So when I first saw it in the trailers, I was like, whoa, this is quite something. But I have to tell you, it was an idea that actually worked. It's not something that was kind of like forced upon, but it definitely adds to the intimidation, you know, because like bad guys are fearful of Batman, and to have that kind of like idea put onto him, it's kind of like it adds the fear that Batman brings along. I would say again, it's not something that is forced upon during his interactions or conversations with other characters. It actually blends in quite well. It's something that you would probably want him to have again in future movies. I personally liked it. I don't know about anybody else, but I definitely dig the idea because it definitely worked. I very much enjoyed the Batman version that was played by Ben Affleck. It kind of showed a very seasoned character who has gone through a lot of shit, you know, like always doubtful and on guard with everything that is happening around him. But is he a convincing Bruce Wayne? Yes. Bruce Wayne in this is by far the most paranoid than any version we've seen in other movies. but it is very prominent that he cares for the common man, because in his dreams or flashbacks, mostly dreams I guess, he constantly is reminded of the feeling of being lost, hardship, turmoil, that kind of that tragedy thing. So he doesn't want the innocent people to go through all that. He still has his playboy moments, but it doesn't feel forced upon again, which is kind of nice, because the movie is focusing on a bigger picture and it's not on his personal lifestyle, which is quite a different take on it, which is quite refreshing in some sense. Henry Cavill as Superman and Clark Kent. In the movie Man of Steel, it was the first time Henry Cavill was in the lead role as Superman. In that movie, Superman and Clark Kent were still finding his way among humans on planet Earth. And in some sense, it's Henry Cavill's journey on being a prominent face for Superman of today. However, in BVS, Henry Cavill is a little bit more convincing playing as Clark Kent than he was in Man of Steel. It's more confident now, portraying as a focused journalist for the Daily Planet, chasing real stories when the majority of the people actually just want to buy newspaper for sports. Besides that, they're not really interested in real stories. But how did he do as Superman? Well, he does feel like a lost puppy. Just like how I saw him in Man of Steel, that has not changed. I have yet to see him as a confident Superman, the one that has a presence of a leader, which I was very much into when I was watching Justice League animated series. Besides the DC releases, I haven't seen much of Henry Cavill's other movies or TV series, so I can't really say much on his acting skills. I'm sure he has what it takes to be an awesome Superman, but he definitely has to get a better script. He has the physique for it, that is no doubt. I mean, he's built for that kind of frame of being like a really muscular kind of like Superman, but like I said, he definitely needs a better script so that he can finally shine and have his epic moments, so that I can confidently say that we finally have the Superman that we wanted for so long. But as of now, he's not quite there yet. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman and Diana. I'm struggling to remember if there was ever a moment in the movie when someone actually addressed her as Diana. I could only remember a hotel scene where the staff called her by Miss Prince. But besides that, again, like I said, I can't really remember. On the credits, she's known as Diana Prince, just as the same during the old Wonder Woman TV series. How did Gal Gadot did as Diana? She was okay. She had this mysterious lady thing going on, but I suppose her accent still needs a little bit more work, because by now I'm very used to listening the American accents of all the DC releases, especially the DC animated movies. And watching Gal Gadot speak was kind of weird, because I think she's still adjusting to the English accent. So yeah, there's a section there where she needs a little bit more work. But being in that Wonder Woman suit, all that hard work and training, I guess it did pay off. She looks really good on it, because I don't know, for some perverse reason, most of the people on the internet wanted a very kind of like a busty, kind of like a Wonder Woman, but then when they got Gal Gadot, they were like, whoa, she's too skinny for the suit. But I guess she does look really good in that suit. I guess all that training, you know, like bulking up and stuff, I think it worked for her. So I guess she moves really well. She moves with a vibe of confidence, so it's really nice to see a woman that powerful in a movie and just taking on bad guys who is just as powerful or even more powerful than her. So physically, Gal Gadot is looking awesome as Wonder Woman. It's just that the accent needs more work, but I'm fine with her as long, you know, the accent gets fixed. But other than that, I think she's fine. Even though her scene in BVS is not a lot, but she did generate enough interest as Wonder Woman to have her own solo movie. So I'm really looking forward to her solo movie, probably around 2017. Not sure exactly when in 2017, but I'm really looking forward to that. So hopefully it'll be a good one. So yeah, pretty much Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. It's okay. Physically she's okay, but her accent needs work. So Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Hmm. 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 The Riddler, I would guess he would have nailed that role, but they casted him as Lex instead. Maybe all of the years watching a very serious, cynical, and conniving version that has been published by DC before BVS has made me gotten used to that version. So yeah, I saw all the trailers and yeah, I went, okay, those mannerisms, that's totally not Lex. But I said to myself, man, let's just give Jesse a chance and see how things go. After watching the movie, still not convinced. He was a little loud. He was a little schizo. So, but I'm still waiting to give him another chance if DC were to recast him in future DC films. So, but he has to lose that schizo mannerisms because it's not really working out for him, especially a character like Lex Luthor. So he has to like really shred away that schizo thing that's going on in that acting. So because I prefer a very serious Lex, you know, a conniving, cynical Lex, but not a schizo Lex, because he was like twitching most of the time in that movie, which is kind of that bugs me a little bit. So yes, I so desire a Lex Luthor where people actually fear him because of his intellect and what he is willing to do. But as of now, Jesse Eisenberg playing that version of Lex Luthor in BVS, not feeling it. Jeremy Irons as Alfred. If DC decides to recast Jeremy Irons in future Batman films, I say go for it. Alfred has always been the voice of reason for Bruce Wayne, the one that often keeps Bruce grounded, and Jeremy Irons does it so well. In some scenes, his wit matches the Cape Crusader, which is really nice to see. So in BVS, Alfred isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. At the same time, he still manages to remind Batman to think through the next course of action. And considering there's not a lot of Alfred scenes in the movie, Jeremy Irons did very well as Alfred. So DC people, if you're watching this video, I say just get Jeremy Irons on future Batman film because he is so awesome. Now, obviously there's more actors in this movie, but the ones that I mentioned before this are the ones that made the most impressions to me. Probably if I were ever to do a Batman vs Superman follow-up video, I'd probably talk about on the side characters, because right now I have pretty much said quite a lot in this video. So probably if I do a follow-up material, regardless a written one or a video one, probably I'll talk about the side characters, but right now I'm just gonna skip them because so far there's none that is quite noteworthy which I want to talk about. So let's move on. Now I want to talk about the plot or the story itself within BVS. If you're a fan of Justice League, the series, the animated movies or TV series, or familiar with DC Comics in general, you could probably see on where the entire plot is leading up to. But for casual viewers, they might miss hidden agenda with all the infighting between the two heroes. The amount of conversation or social drama in this movie is a lot. Like a big chunk of it mostly is based on like talking. I would say like about like 70% at least. Yeah, that's a lot. For those who are into pure action, especially for the superhero genre, might be a little bit disappointed. I'm so used to TV series that has a shit ton of talking and dialogues. Spent a lot of time with Game of Thrones, Hannibal, True Detectives, it will eventually, make you immune to long conversations. I like how Zack Snyder is trying to establish the human connection of these superheroes. But for some, I guess it's just a little too draggy, too much talking. People just like, I've heard people like went out the theater halfway through, falling asleep and stuff like that. I don't know how true are they. I never really asked those people, but yeah, some people just like a lot of talking. Some people just don't. Some people just thought BVS was really draggy. Some people thought it was okay, and stuff like that. But when the action does come, man, it's fantastic to watch because I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's previous movies where action sequences are involved. So if you're a fan of action sequences in Watchmen especially, then you're gonna love the moves and how Batman goes along, especially like kicking ass in that movie. I mean, it's kind of like a work of art. It's Zack Snyder's forte to find the perfect angle to accentuate the movements in those shots, which is again like really nice to see. But not all action sequence in this movie is great. Not feeling the CGI. I definitely not feeling the CGI. I mean, I'm not saying I hate CGI. It's just that like if you do it right, if you do it well, not too much of it, it complements the movie. But too much of it, for me, the most of the CGI in BVS, I'm just not feeling it. One villain in particular who was also in the trailer, he is way too overpowered. Like, yeah, overpowered. I don't know how else I'm gonna say it, but I will go as far as saying that certain CGI scenes are a mess. Certain CGI just, some of the scenes just like it's a big no-no for me. But if they were to like tone it down a little bit, I guess maybe people could have a better view on what exactly is happening. So yeah, the CGI certain scenes are just not are just and yeah, like the character that was like talking about, way too overpowered. So if you would see the movie, you would definitely know who I'm talking about. Whatever filter Zack Snyder is using for the movie, I like it. It has a super depressed and gloomy kind of a tone. I mean, Batman is in it. You can't have that vibe as though he is on spring break. So Zack Snyder, that filter you're using, I liked it since Watchmen. So yeah, keep it up, man. Was it worth it? Well, that's quite a question. Okay, I've been waiting for a Justice League movie since forever, and forever seems to be like a long time. Or at least two of my favorite superheroes in one movie, and Batman vs Superman is that movie. But is it a good movie? It's not great, but it's actually not that bad. There are certain things that I like about the movie, and then there are some stuff the movie can do without. Would I recommend anyone watching it? Alright, honestly, with so much mixed response, I really don't care at this point. If you have the money and the time, you like comic-based movies or no reason at all, do whatever the hell you want. If you don't like the movie, then it's just too bad. And as all movies that has ever released throughout history, one thing remains the same. You cannot please everyone. Yeah, it's not very it's not the advice probably I should give, but then again, like there's a lot of mixed reviews on this thing. Like some people like it, there's like a chunk of people who don't like it. I mean, they have their reasons, but personally for me, like yeah, like I said, there's certain things I enjoy, there's certain things I wish the movie can probably, there's certain scenes where the movie can just go on and don't have that specific scene. I mean, they can survive without it. Like DC, especially Batman vs Superman, they're not like Marvel or any Avengers movies where the humor is prominent. There's a lot of doom and gloom in BVS, but that doesn't mean that's a bad thing. I mean, I appreciate that kind of style, but when they try to actually do that, it doesn't really work. And like there are scenes which I would like to commend, is that when there's a certain like scenario or a scene where like, hey, that's not exactly how it happened in the movie, and the next thing that happens following that scene, they explain themselves really quick just to justify why that scene happened. So I really like how they put that up, because before people start to ask questions like, hey man, that doesn't seem right, but they do that pretty well in the early part of the movie, but then in the later part of the movie they actually kind of like don't give a shit, so it just happened and nobody actually explains anything why it was like that, which was kind of disappointing. But overall, yeah, it's a movie that is pretty 50-50. Like if it's nice to some people, people defend it with all, as though like it was the last days of their lives. But if people hate it, the hate bandwagon is rolling right now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So pretty much for this video, that is all I have. Appreciate you guys giving the thumbs up, either you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube. So yeah, like, follow, comment, and subscribe. I'm one from Cosmic Fury. Cheers.